Today, we are going to talk about my pile of shame. So my pile of shame is books that I started reading and was really enjoying them and fully intended to finish them, and then did not finish them and have not picked them back up. And it has been anywhere between a couple months to like over a year since I've read these books. So we're going to talk about the 5 books that are on my pile of shame, and you are going to shame me into picking them up and reading them. Let's go. I'm going to talk about these books from the shamiest to the least shamiest, and we are starting with Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb has like skyrocketed to my favorite authors list. She's actually one of the authors that convinced me that I do actually have favorite authors. And I read the Farseer trilogy in its entirety, and I was reading Ship of Magic and then Mad Ship, and they are among the best fantasy books I have ever read. And I started Ship of Destiny, and I think I got about halfway through it, and then I stopped reading it. And I don't have a good reason, again, why I haven't picked it up and continued or started it over or anything. At this point, it has been over a year since I tried reading Ship of Destiny. And I think I have like multiple things wrapped up in why I didn't finish Ship of Destiny. And one of them is I have heard negative things about the ending of Life Ship Traders and the fact that the Life Ship Traders are some of the best books, fantasy books that I've ever read. There's kind of this like expectation and this like, I don't really want it to be over. And also I'm kind of scared of the ending now. On top of that, it's been long enough. I've thought about going back and rereading Life Ship Traders from the beginning, and then I'm like, well, maybe it's been long enough that I should reread the Farseer books and then read the Life Ship Trader books again and then continue on through the Realm of the Elderling. Like, I want to finish all of the Realm of the Elderling books, and I'm stalling. So that's, I mean, they're some of the best books I've ever read, and I'm just not reading the rest of them. Yikes. The next shamiest book that I loved and stopped reading is Savage Legion. So I saw the 3rd book in this series on my library's new shelf and went, that looks kind of interesting. And I read the back and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in this, but this is book 3. So I went and found book 1 and I checked out book 1 and started reading it. And I started screaming about this book in Discord, on Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh, this book's amazing. Why is no one talking about this? The writing is interesting. The writing is beautiful. Like from chapter 1, I was like, oh, this is really good. I love the descriptions. I love the way this is written. And then I was really enjoying the characters. We're following 3 different characters, and there's definitely political maneuvering going on. And we see that there's conspiracies, and there's kind of this mystery of what's really going on in this city. There's this surface level that we see, but there's definitely something underneath. And it was so interesting and so good, but I'm a slow reader, and I did not finish this book before it was due back at the library. And then I returned it to the library and never got it out again. And I've not finished this book. And in some ways, I'm really excited about this book because I found an underrated fantasy book that I've not heard anyone else talk about that I'm loving. Why haven't I finished it? I need to get this book out and finish it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, tell me how shameful it is in the comments that I'm not finishing books that I love. The next shamiest book on my list is Some Desperate Glory. So this is a case of I was reading too many books at the same time, which I'm very guilty of. I like to read too many books. I want to read all of the books and then I start all of them and I just can't finish all of them in a timely manner. So I had several audiobooks out from my library, and this was among the audiobooks I had out from my library, and then I didn't have time to finish it. So I was enjoying this one. I plan on picking up more books from Emily Tesh. I know she has a duology, a novella duology that I'm planning on reading very soon. Honestly, I'm planning on reading it before I read Some Desperate Glory, and Some Desperate Glory is a standalone sci-fi novel, and I'm planning on reading her like novella duology first. Helps and help. I don't know what's wrong with me. The next shamiest book on my list I don't really want to talk about. It is A Shadow in Summer. that's the book. Okay, we don't need to talk about it any further. So I got these books at a secondhand sale for very cheap. I got the first 3 in this series for very cheap, and I own them, and it would be great to read books that I own, right? Except, you know, library books have due dates. This is definitely a case of reading too many books at the same time, so like those books get prioritized. And then I was going to buddy read this, and then both of my buddy readers have kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. And I got about halfway through this and I was really enjoying it. I like the writing, the story's interesting, not really sure where it's going. And then I haven't read it since. So we're just gonna put that back and pretend that did not happen, okay? None of that. It's just a series on my TBR pile, okay? It's fine. And my last shamiest book is Lonesome Dove. And I kind of want to say I'm still reading this one. So there was a buddy read for this book in one of the Discords that I was in, and I was like, oh, I'll join the Discord buddy read. And then I was listening to the audiobook and just not enjoying the audiobook for Lonesome Dove. And I was going, you know, I think at first I was trying to push through. I was like, you know, it's not my favorite audiobook, but I'll keep listening. And then listen to a little bit more. And I'm like, I mean, I can only listen to it in small chunks because I'm not really enjoying it, but that's fine. And then I got to the point where I was just like, I really don't like listening to this audiobook. I don't want to keep doing this to myself. So I stopped listening to the audiobook, and then I was like, there's a wait list for the ebook in my library, and there's a wait list for the physical book in my library. So maybe whenever those come in, I'll read that. And it was a couple weeks, and then I did get the physical book and I started reading it, and I was just reading very, very slowly. And this is one of those books, like, I liked the book while I was reading it, but once I put the book down, I don't really think about it again. And it's not one that I am wanting to come back to and pick up more, which is maybe also one of my problems with the audiobook. I was just struggling to get through this one a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with it either. And my partner read it and absolutely loved it, and he was trying to get me to read it, and then he was telling his whole family, and like they've all read it now, and they're like, you should read this book, it's really good. And now I just feel like there's pressure, and it's a really, really long book. The physical book was due back at the library before I finished it again, and yeah, it's not been that long, so I feel like I could still get it out and keep reading and act like nothing ever happened about that first part and just, you know, pick up where I left off. So maybe I'm actually still reading this one and it's not in my pile of shame yet. That's my thoughts. So those are my 5 books that I have in my pile of shame. So you can shame me in the comments to pick up whichever is your favorite. Tell me like, oh my gosh, why haven't you read this? It's amazing. Go pick it up right now. Whatever helps in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed me exposing my shame to the internet. And I hope to see you in another video. Happy reading.